After appointing a new manager, after spending 500 million in the transfer market, and after 10 games of this Premier League season, Chelsea fall into the bottom half. But just before we get into all that, let's quickly give a shout out to today's sponsors. Today's video is brought to you by Surfshark VPN. Now, some of you may not know what a VPN is, and I am about to tell you. A VPN is a virtual private network, and that is a device that can allow you to do a multiple amount of different things, but my favourite thing it can allow you to do is put you in a different country. Hey? How cool is that? All right, no, it can't do that. That's physically impossible. What it can do is tell your computer, your tablet, or your smart device that you are in another country. But why on earth would I need my computer, my tablet, or even my smart device to believe that I'm in another country? Aha. I'm glad you asked. There is one thing we all love, and that is the Premier League 3 o'clock kickoff blackout, don't we? No, we don't. It's shit. Because you can be paying for Sky, you can be paying for TNT or any other streaming service, but if Chelsea or any other Premier League team, for that matter, are playing at 3 p.m, you cannot watch it due to the blackout. But the blackout is only actually in place in the United Kingdom. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go onto Surfshark. We're going to change our location from, let's say, the United Kingdom to the United States of America, and then we are going to sit back, relax, and watch the 3 o'clock kickoffs. Perfect. Not only that, but Surfshark will also keep your identity safe, meaning that when you enter websites, your information is encrypted. This means no junk emails and no sales calls just because you entered a random website. And just when I had you thinking that this whole Surfshark news could not get any better, it has, because I am about to offer you lot the opportunity of a lifetime. How about if I told you that you could get 3 months for free? Yes, absolutely free. Well, guess what? That is what I'm telling you, and all you've got to do is this. Hit the link in the description. That's going to take you to the Surfshark website. You're then going to hit Get Surfshark and enter the promo code Joey Knight. Once you do that, you will receive 3 months for free from Surfshark. It really is that simple. So people, don't say I don't do anything for you. Anyway, let's get on with the video. This is obviously my match review with my good friend Brian, aka the True Geordie. Brian, good to have you back on, mate.
Hey, I'm happy to be back. I'm hoping my team have a better result than yours today. By the time this is out, we'll find out. But I watched the game.
Yep.
And it was painful. Yeah, even from a neutral, you could see you guys have the better team. We all know that. But it just wasn't clicking again. And after the Arsenal game, I think everyone thought, all right, you really showed something here. You can build off of that. If you maintain that level of intensity, you should wash Brentford. What do you think went wrong?
I think, to be honest, like the blueprint on how to beat Chelsea has been there since the start of last season. And although in the bigger games it can sort of fade away at times, in these games where teams are very much happy to let us have the run of play, I think we had 70% possession today. In those sort of games, the blueprint's there. Everyone knows what they need to beat us. And do you know what it is, right? Oh, I hate to say this about my own team, but we're almost the Amir Khan of the Premier League, aren't we? In terms of, we start fast, we'll have a lot of success against you.
You look great.
But if you stay in there long enough against us, you'll probably be able to catch us on the chin and put us away at some point. And unfortunately, that whole sort of catching on the chin analogy comes to smaller teams, so-called smaller teams, no offence to Brentford, catching us on the counter-attack and being able to put a goal away against us. And our sort of lack of creativity was shown again today. I was in the stands. We started off really well, mate. Like, I thought the first half hour of the game, we
were well on top. Yeah,
really good.
I feel like you're like a boxer who doesn't hit hard enough. You know, like
I've been there.
Going in the final third, it's a bit toothless. And at the start of the season on the kickoff, my main worry was, who do we look to as the seasoned killers in that team to go, we will get you over the line? And I think Chelsea have a better footballing side, better squad than Man United, but they've got those kind of players who you know you can look to drag you over the line in games like that. And for me, Raheem Sterling is never going to be that guy. He looked great in a Man City team where they'd give him 5 gilt-edged chances every game. But in a normal team, or not even a normal team, you're better than a normal team, but in a team where it's not that simple, he doesn't deliver enough. I think there's some younger lads who I don't think we can put that level of pressure on. Cole Palmer, really admire him. All my Newcastle mates in the group chat are saying, wish we'd got him. So he's definitely a quality footballer. But, you know, in terms of supplying, Jackson, he doesn't look anything like a seasoned Premier League striker, and I don't even know if it's his age. He's just not showing enough signs for me. Like,
you speak about age there, it's sort of saying, isn't it, that when we look at Cole Palmer, he's the player that looks sort of a cut above, and he's the player that's almost expecting other players to be able to be on his wavelength.
yeah,
Like,
he has that attitude of like, you have to get up to my level, and he's showing that frustration of like, why am I playing these balls and people aren't there? Why he's streets ahead of the people
sharp
around
balls,
him.
quick balls with a bit of weight on them. That in Man City, yes, a Kevin De Bruyne, a Julian Alvarez, any of those players along that front line are able to take a little light touch and take the sting off the ball. However, in Chelsea's front line, it just ain't there. And you spoke today about obviously the sort of lack of goal threat we had. I think we might have had one shot on target from what I remember. If you class the sort of half chance by Cucurella, who I will say today, and this is a thing, like, I'm going off key here, but individually, a lot of our players were good today. I thought Caicedo had a good match. I thought Cucurella had a really good match. Like, I thought a lot of our players, Cole Palmer always, week in, week out at the moment, is doing himself justice in the way that he performs. So it's not so much individually, but you look at sort of Cole Palmer's distribution to other players. He's pinging a ball in to, say, Nicholas Jackson, for example. The first touch isn't there. The ability to have that control and have that know-how with the game isn't there. So am I mistaken here? Because for me, listen, you know what I'm like with Chelsea. You know I romanticise things. You know I'll always see the glass as half full, even if it's completely empty and the bar's dry. But I genuinely think that a number 9 solves all of our problems.
A lot. Not all, but a lot. I agree, a lot. Especially like an Ivan Toney, who's the well-rounded striker who can do everything. He would absolutely, if you'd had him at the start of the season, I don't even think it would look remotely like this. I think you'd be in a way better position than what you are now. Mudryk, again, injured. He often just picks up these little injuries, right? They're not like massive, but he'll play a game, miss a couple. That's a little bit of a worry. But yeah, I agree. I think that would have been a whole different story, and that's why I think Chelsea, as frustrated as they can be now, this isn't the whole story. Unfortunately, it is a transitional season. I hate to say that word because no team wants to write off a whole season, but I think Chelsea have to accept this might not go the way we want it to, but I still don't think they should throw the baby out with the bathwater and think Pochettino is crap, these players are crap. Some of them players aren't quite good enough in terms of, like I said, I don't think Raheem Sterling's the long-term answer, and I'm not sure on Mudryk, and I think Jackson definitely looks off it. But with an Ivan Toney in, this team has the building blocks in that 3-man midfield that looks fucking really strong and a decent defence to get into Europe, without a doubt.
Yeah, I think, look, you've got Nkunku coming back also. I think that he looks quite clinical in front of goal. However, not downplaying what he's done at all, but you look at the likes of Werner, who was brought in from the Bundesliga, Havertz that have brought in from the Bundesliga. It's not to say I think he's in that mould, but we need to see him on the pitch and see him converting chances in competitive games before we judge him. But all of that being said about a striker, it was Alan Hampson, wasn't it, that said you can't win anything with kids. And when you look at our team now, it's very, very young, right? Thiago Silva massively distorts the actual age of our team because obviously he brings that age bracket up.
He brings it up 200 years.
Exactly. If you take Thiago Silva out of it, we've got a very young team. Yeah. And what a lot of people are saying to me straight away in the comments, people are saying, oh, you think Tony's going to solve your problems? Even if he gets 20 goals a season, you're still only going to be 6th. That's fine. That's all well and good. But I tell you what he does do. If Tony's there and Tony's converting his chances and Tony's finishing his dinner when others aren't, all of a sudden, the pressure's off you a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
So these other
and not
players,
only that, the respect that every opposition has to give you is way bigger. So, right now with Chelsea, as a collective, you're kind of having to park the bus a bit while Chelsea are swarming you, but you're not terrified of any of those players being lethal one-touch finishers. So you can bring the team forward when you want and pile the pressure back onto them. I think an Ivan Toney forces teams to really have to worry about you a lot more than what they are right now because Jackson just doesn't have that threat. And then other players around him. Imagine Cole Palmer with Ivan Toney in front of him. Everyone bigs up Kevin De Bruyne, but Kevin De Bruyne is so good because he has Haaland to feed. He has those great runs and he can send the ball through. If you take Haaland out that equation, well, De Bruyne isn't going to look the player he is because he hasn't got that player to play with. So I think we need to understand, Ivan Toney will bring to life other players as well if they sign him, which Do you think that's going to happen? You're putting a lot of pressure on them to sign him, that's for sure.
I think it's likely to happen. Obviously, the two options we've spoke about so far, we've heard spoke about a lot in the media, are either Ivan Toney or Victor Osimhen. And we know that Victor Osimhen is a situation that's sort of rearing its head at the moment because of the controversy and the sort of handling he's had from Napoli of recent times.
I'll be careful about signing players from Italy, that's all I'm going to say.
Mate, listen.
I'm devastated
when
right
I see
now.
Enzo Fernandez out of the lineup today, I looked on the reason, and at first, obviously, before it's a muscular thing, it said personal reasons, and I thought, oh, fucking hell, you better not have been on them betting websites, mate.
Bro, every team in the league now must be checking their players for that. But
if he did, I would say, Tonali told me to do it. So
I think the sad thing about it is we looked at the Arsenal game and we thought, was there was it a bit lucky, the penalty, the fluky goal, you wanted to overlook that, you wanted to believe more, but this has just set expectations back a whole bunch for me, for Chelsea fans. I'm not saying that Chelsea fans were getting carried away, but the hope is, I even had a text off Josh straight away going, season's over. Like, he's absolutely devastated. And I understand why, but I don't think it's quite that bad yet. Like, I still think you can make Europa League. And I know that's not what they wanted, but it's still a building block compared to where you are and where you were last season.
Do you remember Stamford Bridge being a fortress, right? Do you know how many games we've won at Stamford Bridge in the last 9 months?
How many?
Well, no. Just the one. Just
Jesus.
the one game in 9 months.
That's got to
Stamford
change.
Bridge.
That's got to be the
Even worse than
manager's
that,
priority.
Brentford have just done the hat-trick over us.
Oh, mate. Brentford are really bad.
I've been at every game as well. I was at the 4-1 when we lost. I was at the 2-0 when we lost. I think I need to stop going, to be honest, because do you know what it is? They obviously, all the players obviously all watch my YouTube channel, and it's probably just a bit too much weight on their shoulders, me being in the crowd for them, maybe.
That final goal, I was watching it in the studio, and when they went through, you were like, this is where you're really adding insult to injury, because it kills the fans off that. It's like, God, we didn't even get a goal. We couldn't even score a single goal against Brentford.
You know the tragic thing about that final goal? Before the ball hit the back of the net, as soon as he's gone through, everyone has just stood up around me and started walking down the stairs. It was like, the writing's on the wall. We know what's happening here. Just quickly touching on the sort of Ivan Toney against Osimhen point of view. Osimhen's obviously a player that all of us have seen, we've been impressed by. However, you mentioned about buying players from Italy, and you almost said that a little bit tongue-in-cheek because we know what's happened with Tonali. But actually, when you look at like goal scorers coming over from Italy, Morata, Balotelli,
not great, is it?
even for Chelsea, Crespo, Shevchenko, Adrian Mutu, his was a little bit more, God knows what happened with him. But even when we talk about goal scorers coming over from Italy, it doesn't always bode well. And when you look at the ages of the two guys, right, Osimhen would be 24 if we could sign him in January, albeit unlikely. He'd be 24 by the time he comes over. Now, Ivan Toney would be 27, and we've got this almost policy of not signing players over the age of 25 because, as you know from like James Maddison, for example, once a player gets over 25, they're completely washed up, aren't they?
That's insane. That.
So, we don't want anyone over the age of 25 because OAPs, we don't need them. But surely we break that policy here and go, Ivan Toney is Premier League proven and he's ready for that next step up.
You guys can afford a lot. You got a lot of money. You can afford both guys. You could probably afford to sign both in one window. You can't afford to not get a proven goal scorer in the Premier League. And I don't think Chelsea are in a situation where they can gamble on a guy who may or may not come good. Even if Osimhen's potential and ceiling is way higher than Tony's, you can't take that risk of him coming in and not being that and having a bit of a hit and miss season. Like, you need a guaranteed goal scorer, and Ivan Toney, in my experience, Newcastle had the best defence last season, arguably one of them at least. He gave us hell. He was the most complete footballer we've played against in the last 12 months. And we used to have him, and he didn't look nothing like that. So God knows what he's doing. Fair play to him for upping the levels. I think it's a no-brainer, mate. If you guys don't get him, it would be criminal, actually.
Just to cap it off, I know I've got my thoughts on it, and maybe I should let the dust settle a little bit before I really sort of analyse where we're at this season. But in terms of European football, and I don't want to disrespect any teams that have competed in there, but I'm not on about the Conference League. I am on about the Champions League and the Europa League. Have Chelsea got any chance still of finishing in those spots?
I'm just looking at the league now, right? And here's the issue, right? Europa League's top 7, right? Mm-hmm. It's the quality of the teams that are in there now.
It's top heavy.
It's the fact of, right, you're only 4 points off, but all right, if you get Tony, you're well in with a chance. But if you don't, then Forget it.
You know what teams I look at? Like, I almost disregard a lot of the teams in there, but when I look at the likes of Aston Villa, they quite regularly go and put 3+ goals past people. And do you know what? They quite regularly have 3+ different goal scorers. I could say the same for Brighton at points, even though they've been a little bit up and down. I could say the same for even like teams that are massively sort of guilty of disregarding here, like West Ham.
West Ham are above you. I think Brighton are the ones you've got to be looking at. Brighton, maybe Villa. You got to be looking at them. Maybe Newcastle, because we're injury ravaged right now. Looking at us three to slip in order for that to happen. So it's definitely possible, especially with Brighton. Brighton's form ain't great, is it? So it is possible. I think you can do it. But
Guys,
it looks terrible right now, I've got to be honest.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's only room for improvement. And like I said, you know where we are in the league today?
11th, is it?
I think we're 12th.
Is it?
And what have I always said to you? Consistency.
This is it, mate.
12th last season, 12th right now.
Bloody hell, bro.
I like the consistency. If nothing else, you can't fault it.
Mate, I don't know how you keep this going.
Oh, mate, not much. You know when you're smiling on the outside, but just
brutal,
crying on the inside.
Fingers crossed.
Guys, tonight, what time are we going live?
7:30.
7:30 on the Pain Game channel, which is obviously going to be linked in the description. We are live for the Tyson Fury against the Francis Ngannou fight. Got a really good undercard, to be fair.
Yeah, we got loads of topics. So if you have any topics, do suggest them in the comments below for all the fight chat. Thanks, mate.
Get over to the live stream. We will be live 7:30. Make sure you're there tonight, and I will see you all in the next one.